On. Now I'm on. Good morning, everyone. What a beautiful day, right? We know the sun's out there. It's just waiting to have it filter through. Happy Easter, everybody. Thank you. Let's go ahead and let's stand up and let's do our welcome song.
Imagine if a man took wing, nothing is impossible. People laugh, it can't be done. Man's not meant to fly. Their little dream changed everything. They dared to touch the sky. Nothing is impossible. Dreams are made to shine. When you blow by every obstacle and move like you're unstoppable, nothing is impossible. There's a place inside of you where nothing is impossible. Oh, the great things you will do, 'cause nothing is impossible. You were born into this world with everything you need. Hold on to your heart, the magic starts the moment you believe. Nothing is impossible. Dreams are made to fly. When you blow by every obstacle and move like you're unstoppable, nothing is impossible. Nothing is impossible. You were born to shine. When you blow by every obstacle and move like you're unstoppable, nothing is impossible.
Well, that's okay too. I just have to say, when it comes for our prayers, please let's all pray for those brewers that they write. You know, statistically, they're one of the top teams, but you know, it's early, right? Anyway, happy Easter, everyone. And Diane.
Good morning, everyone. We'll do our statement of faith. There is only one presence and one power in the universe and in my life, God the good omnipotence. And our congregational affirmation. Thank you, God, that we have come to this place to release the past, celebrate the present, and embrace the future in love, peace, harmony, and prosperity. And our congregational affirmation. We at the Unity Center are a loving, diverse, inclusive, spiritual community who come together to demonstrate and live teachings of Jesus Christ by listening, learning, and empowering ourselves and others. And we're about to do prayer requests. I need a pen. Okay. I have a pen. Okay, anybody have prayer requests today? For Ken for healing. For Marlene for healing. For Rhoda for healing. Anyone else? For Susie for recovery. For Bob for healing. For Jennifer and for Terry for healing. Justin and Kayla for healing. Anyone else? Sandy for healing. Yes, indeed. Mhm. And Danny for healing.
As we celebrate Easter, that we may all recognize and feel something resurrected within us, that Christ's presence, and that we may continue to shine that out to the world.
Perhaps you'd like to come up and say that. I didn't get those notes.
Just that we all recognize that the Easter Christ Godness.
The blessings of Easter. Thank you. Anyone else today? Okay, we close our eyes and put our hands on our hearts and bring us closer to our spirit. In loving prayer, we send healing to Ken, Marlene, Sandy, Rhoda, Bob, Justin and Kayla, Terry and Jennifer. And we send blessings to Susan in her recovery. And last, we send blessings out to each of us, our families, our friends, our spiritual community on this Easter day. The daily word. I celebrate and welcome the Christ. Which is the wrong one. Here's the right one. Through Christ, I rise again. On this glorious Easter Sunday, the sun rises on the new day. I am glorious too, called to life and shining with joy because Christ is risen in me. Just as the stone was rolled away to reveal an empty tomb where Jesus' crucified body had been, I roll away the stones of all that has kept me entombed and leave my crucifixion experiences behind. Easter is the celebration of Jesus overcoming death. It is also an invitation to celebrate my victory over all I have survived. It is a celebration of the triumph of truth, the resurrection of the Christ within. The trials of the world are always temporary. Today, I will roll away the stone of limitation and am resurrected into the truth of God. With joy, I rise again. I am the resurrection and the life. John 11:25. And now we will have music. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Happy Easter. So good to be with you again. It's been a long time. So the prayer or mantra that I'm going to start off with is in Urdu, and it's nice to at the end of the song let the note and the note, which is vibration, just ring out in silence. And also, I wanted to know what the topic today was, and it was about um, moving towards the light. This prayer is a prayer of self-healing, humility, relaxation, protective grace, and emotional relief. Guru, Guru, Vaheguru, Guru Ram Das Guru, 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 Vaheguru, Guru Ram Das 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 Think about it. There must be a higher love down in the heart and in the stars above. Without it, life is wasted time. Look inside your heart, I look inside mine. Bring me a higher love. Bring me a higher love. Bring me a higher love. Where's that higher love I'm thinking wheels are turning. We're just hanging on, facing our fears, standing out there alone, a yearning, and it's real for me. There must be somebody who's feeling for me. Bring me a high love. Bring me a higher love. Bring me a higher love. Where's that higher love that I'm thinking of? Where's that higher love that I'm dreaming of? Where's that higher love that I'm thinking of? Guru, guru, why guru Ram Das, guru, why guru Ram Das, Guru Ram Das, Guru.
Thank you, Cherrie. That was beautiful and amazing. Our Sunday message will be by Joann Baumann today. So, Joann, would you like to come up?
Thank you, and good morning, everyone. Happy Easter. We'll start out with, first of all, recounting the original story that we're celebrating today. From the Gospel of John, in the 20th chapter, it says, early on the first day of the week, Mary Magdalene came to the tomb and saw that the stone had been removed from the tomb. She ran and went to Simon Peter and John and said, they have taken the Lord out of the tomb, and we do not know where they have laid him. And they went back to the tomb. Simon Peter looked in through the doorway. He saw the linen wrappings lying there and the cloth that had been on Jesus' head, not lying with the linen wrappings, but rolled up in a place by itself. Then the disciples returned to their homes. But Mary stood weeping outside the tomb, and as she wept, she bent over to look into the tomb and saw two angels in white sitting where the body of Jesus had been laying, one at the head and the other at the feet. And they said to her, woman, why are you weeping? And she said to them, "They have taken away my Lord, and I do not know where they have laid him." She turned around and saw Jesus standing there, but she did not know that it was Jesus. And Jesus said to her, "Woman, why are you weeping? Who are you looking for?" Supposing him to be the gardener, she said to him, "Sir, if you have carried him away, tell me where you have laid him, and I will take him away." But Jesus said to her, "Mary." She turned and said to him in Hebrew, "Rabboni," which means teacher. She then recognized who it was. So apparently, in Jesus' resurrected form, he was healed of all the bruises of the days before. And perhaps there was some radiant look to his face. And maybe the wounds where the crown of thorns was, maybe those were healed. But she recognized in his voice who it was. Then Mary Magdalene went and announced to the disciples, "I have seen the Lord." And she told them that he had said these things to her. So then time goes by. When it was evening on the day of that first day of the week, the doors of the house where the disciples had met were locked for fear of the Jews. Jesus came and stood among them and said, "Peace be with you." Apparently, he could walk through the walls. And he said this as he showed them his hands and his side. But Thomas wasn't there at first. And at a later time, Thomas, one of the 12, came, and the disciples had said to him, "We have seen the Lord." But he said to them, "Unless I see the mark of the nails in his hands and put my finger in the mark of the nails and my hand in his side, I will not believe." That is how he got the title, the Doubting Thomas. A week later, his disciples were again in the house, and Thomas was with them. And although the doors were shut, Jesus came and stood amongst them and said, "Peace be with you." Then he said to Thomas, "Put your finger here and see my hands. Reach out your hand and put it in my side. Do not doubt, but believe." And Thomas answered him, "My Lord and my God." And Jesus said to him, "Have you believed because you have seen me? Blessed are those who have not seen and yet have come to believe." Now, Jesus did many other signs in the presence of the disciples, which are not written in this book. But these are written so that you may come to believe that Jesus, the Messiah, the Son of God, and that through believing you may have life in his name. So that was way back 2000 some years ago. So are we in the same boat today because we don't believe unless we see? So let's take for an example, if you have an illness, and not many people ever heal of that, or maybe nobody does, until you see somebody or hear of somebody who has overcome that illness, you might not ever believe that you can overcome that. Or another example would be of people who've lost personal possessions, lost their home or lost their job, um, lost something. And you doubt whether you could ever recover from that and have a home again, or have another job, or have enough money to survive on. But if you hear of other people who have overcome that challenge and have another job, have sufficient income, and have another home, or you're not homeless anymore. So then you might believe also that you can overcome. So we need to hear these stories of people overcoming uh, so that you can believe as well. So positive thinking is contagious. Miracles are contagious. So we need to hear more of these stories. Um, from A Course in Miracles, Jesus advises us to lay down the crosses that we carry and join in a resurrection, to join him in resurrection. So, what are the crosses that we carry? Besides illness or loss, it can be depression, it can be addiction. And so we're asked to lay down those crosses and join in a resurrection. So, just as the power of God brought Jesus back from the dead and healed the wounds of his body, so also that resurrection power is still available to us today to resurrect out of whatever is our cross. So, if it's illness, that resurrection power can bring your body back to life. If you're tired and weary and worn out, um, this resurrection power can bring new life into your body. If you're depressed, resurrection power can bring happiness and joy into your life. And if you're relying on some kind of substance to give you some temporary relief or a temporary high, this resurrection power can bring life to your emotions and your mind that you can be happy again. And I know I've gone through a number of circumstances where that did happen for me. So I know that this power of healing and power of resurrection is still available today. Um, in A Course in Miracles, Jesus comments on tribulation. In the scriptures, it says, in this world you shall have tribulation or difficulties or troubles, but fear not, I have overcome the world. So, in A Course in Miracles, Jesus comments a little further on that. He says, in this world, you need not to continue in tribulation because I have overcome the world. So, whatever is your difficulty or tribulation right now, you can overcome that now. You don't need to continue on in it for months and years or the rest of your life. You can overcome it. He goes on to say, your resurrection is your reawakening. I am the model for rebirth. So at this time, when we're celebrating something that happened 2000 plus years ago, um, we can also resurrect uh, out of our difficulties. We can awaken to something very powerful, these truths that set us free. We don't have to stay stuck. So, Jesus' experience of what he went through and overcame and resurrected is an example for us to do also. He says in the Course, you are not asked to die on a cross. You are asked to lay down the crosses that you carry and join in a resurrection. So at this time when we're celebrating Easter, this is a time for our resurrection as well. So we can look at what we're dealing with in our own lives and resurrect out of it or awaken to something very powerful and wonderful. So just as in this time of spring, the grass has turned green this last week. The flowers are poking out of the ground. Tulips are outside are going to bloom shortly, but in the greenhouses, they're already blooming, and daffodils and other springtime flowers are ready to bloom and show us their beauty. So, likewise, that same power in nature that brings things back to life at this time of year, that same power is available to us from God, from nature, to help us come back to life. And I'm sure all of us are sort of tired of gloomy weather, cold weather. And I know this last week when we had that 70-degree day, I was out digging in the dirt and planting some flower bulbs and buying some other perennials. And I was ready to get out and help Mother Nature along with some planting. So I was already feeling good when it was warming up. So likewise, that energy in nature is available for us in major ways to help us come back to life at this time of year. And there's some bushes starting to bud as well. And pretty soon the trees will bud and leaves will come forth. So in January, when I talked about faith, I told the story of a boy that came back to life after drowning. So I'm going to repeat that today because this is like a modern day resurrection. In the story, true story, a 15-year-old boy from a city outside of St. Louis, Missouri, fell through the ice, drowned, was brought out from under the ice. No resuscitation efforts worked at the scene, on the way to the hospital, or in the hospital. He was pronounced dead. His mother was called in and she was told she could go in and spend as much time as she needed to say goodbye to her son. She prayed, she cried, she fretted. And of course, this is in a movie called Breakthrough, which I've watched numerous times and we showed here at church uh, because it is a very powerful movie. Okay. Finally, she said, Holy Spirit, breathe the breath of life back into him. And his heart started beating. He was still hooked up to monitors. So, to the shock of the medical personnel that were waiting in the hallway, this was absolutely unusual. So, of course, they did what they needed to do then to monitor and help along. But he was sort of in a coma and then in an induced coma. And mother and father were told because of the long amount of time that he was without oxygen, it's very likely he will have extreme brain damage. When he woke up, there was no brain damage. So the doctors told the parents, this is a miracle. Nothing like this is in recorded medical history. Your son has been saved for some important thing. So, this is a modern day resurrection story that has happened in our lifetime in this country. So, are miracles happening today at that magnitude that dead is now breathing, talking, and 2 weeks later, he's back on the basketball court at school. So, some of the boys at school, and incidentally, lots of people at church and in the community were praying for him. But some boys at school asked him one day, well, when are you going to walk on water? Well, sort of cynical of this boy's miracle story. So, in our day and time, this marvelous thing has happened. And so, if God is working in our world today to bring that to pass, what can he bring back to life in you? What do you want to have brought back to life in you or in your life? It's all possible. So there's another story, um, probably not quite as dramatic as that. Um, it's about a country western singer of the group The Judds. About 35 years ago, when the mother of the group, no, Naomi, was diagnosed with hepatitis C. She was a nurse and apparently got a finger pricked from a needle of some infected patient. She had gotten quite ill, and at some point, she wasn't able to even walk across the room. There's an article in a magazine. I'll just read a sentence or two. Um, in her healing process, she became host to a Hallmark Channel talk show called Naomi's New Morning, um, as a motivational guru for those in search of hope and wisdom. And she wrote best-selling several books, including Naomi's Guide to Aging Gracefully. She was told it's very possible that she could die. She set out to find a cure or what would assist her in her recovery. She says, I'd never been sick a day in my life, yet these guys with starched white coats and degrees told me I was going to die. If I had believed them, I'd be dead by now. She went through some extensive interferon treatments to fight hepatitis, which caused reactions similar to chemotherapy. She also set out on a quest for alternatives. For her, began for this, started producing results. She also sought spiritual fulfillment. Time goes by. She gets well. But just this last week, I saw her on the Country Music Awards on TV. She's sort of been out of the limelight as her daughter has gone on to be a solo artist. It's like unbelievable. This woman at now 76 years of age, beautiful, looking as young as or younger than her daughter, absolutely beautiful and radiant. So it's a story of healing and recovery. She searched for ways uh, to get well. And now, 35 years later, she's a radiant beauty. And they sang the song, Love Can Build a Bridge, a very powerful song about love bringing people together. So, another story of somebody recovering from something that the doctor said they could possibly die from. So seeking out these alternatives and the spiritual, your own spiritual fulfillment is helpful in our coming back to life. And I've said before that Dr. Bernie Siegel, who wrote Love, Medicine, and Miracles and Peace, Love, and Healing and other best-selling books, he said, if 9 out of 10 people die from an illness that you have, what did the 1 in 10 people do Find out what they did, and you do that, and you can be one of the survivors. So these are some modern day methods to help us to recover and to heal. But the spiritual truths that Jesus spoke of have been around since he walked the earth, and some spoke of them even before him. So these are truths that set us free. So the more we focus on these spiritual truths, these are the truths that set us free. So look at what you want to be set free from. What do you want to rise out of this spring, this Easter, and have Jesus as the model of your own rebirth? Okay. So now we'll take these thoughts into meditation. And I will reread this very powerful message from today's daily word. Just as the stone was rolled away to reveal an empty tomb where Jesus' crucified body had been, I roll away the stones of all that has kept me entombed or stuck and leave my crucifixion experience behind. Easter is the celebration of Jesus overcoming death. It is also an invitation to celebrate my victory over all I have survived. It is celebration of the triumph of truth. The trials of the world are always temporary. Today, I roll away the stone of limitation and am resurrected in the truth of God. With joy, I rise again. So if your difficulty is illness, the thought of healing and recovery is the thought and the prayer that brings you the healing that you need. If the stone or the cross that you carry is depression, that stone is rolled away and you rise out of doom and gloom. You rise gloriously into joy. If the cross that you have carried has been addiction, and you turn to some substance or some behavior to bring you some temporary relief, that stone is rolled away, that cross is laid down. The power of the risen Christ takes you from that substance and from that behavior to the power that rose Christ from the dead. That resurrection power is within you to change your body chemistry, to change your thinking process, and you turn to the spiritual truths that set you free. And if there have been losses in your life, whether they were financial or loss of relationships or loss of people in your life, you lay down that cross You find new joy in life. You are blessed with new things. You can be restored like Job was restored in the Old Testament. And just like Jesus was restored, so also you are restored. You are blessed. There is always another blessing awaiting us. When one door closes, another opens. When one thing is lost, another thing is found. New things come to pass. So as we celebrate the resurrected Christ, we also celebrate new beginnings and new life of our own. And we are thankful for all the blessings that come as a result of our trusting in the power of resurrection in our life today. We are thankful for all these blessings now. Amen. So now is the time to take out your gifts. And the offering prayer we'll say together. There is no lack or limitation. Freely I give and freely I receive from God's abundance. I am blessed as I give, and unity is blessed in receiving.
This prayer is called the Gayatri prayer. The prayer is about probably 2,000 years old, but the melody was written by a gentleman named David Newman. He's a kirtan artist, so he writes really good melodies for these old prayers. And the Gayatri prayer is about invoking light and asking to illuminate our intellect, which I thought was kind of perfect for today. Om Bhurva Swaha Tatsavitu Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dio Yona Prachodaya Om Bhuva Swaha Tatsavitu Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dio Yona Prachodaya Om Bhuva Swaha savitu Urenya Bago Devasya Dimahi Yo Yona Prachodaya. Love belongs to everyone. Love belongs to everyone. Love belongs to everyone. To everyone. Love belongs to everyone. Love belongs to everyone. Love belongs to everyone. Tatsavitu Urenya Bago Devasya Dimahi Yo Yona Prachodaya Ombu Bhuvaswaha Tatsavitu Urenyam Bhago Devasya Dimahi Yo Yona Prachodaya. Love belongs to everyone. Love belongs to everyone. Love belongs to everyone. Oh, to everyone. Love belongs to everyone. The sun shines, shines for everyone. When it rains, rains on everyone. One spirit lives in everyone. And when we pray for everyone.
Thank you, Cherrie, for the beautiful message and beautiful music. And Reverend Joann, thank you for your message today. It was wonderful and lovely. So we'll do our blessings. We bless all of the tithes we were so fortunate to receive today, and we bless all of the people who were able to be here with us and offer their presence and their tithes, and all of the folks at home who do the same. Thank you. Okay, we are now to our announcements today. Our UCIM book study is Just Mercy by Brian Steverson, meeting on Thursdays from 9:30 to 11, in person or virtual. The Silent Unity Prayer every Thursday at 11 a.m., again, in person or virtual. A Course in Miracles every Sunday starting at around 11:45. ACIM uses miracle-minded thinking to focus on the principles of universal love and forgiveness, led by Reverend Joann Baumann. You can visit our website for services and advertisements. Visit the bulletin board. For positive information, visit the Inspiring Insights tab. For our latest guided meditation, visit the Classes tab, and also view past Sunday services. The Life Journey Group is meeting the second and fourth Monday of the month from 6:30 to 8:15. Just bring yourself with an open mind and a warm heart. Having difficulty reading this one. I can't read that either. I'm sorry. Oh, it is. Thank you. Special class following Sunday service, May 1st. A workshop based on Reverend Ginny Stuvey's wisdom. Today, How Shall I Live? From noon to 1:30. Ginny's stories and reflections, 1:30 to 3. This was created from Ginny's handouts and notes from her previous Sheboygan Unity one-day retreats. Susan Larkin will be the lecturer, artist, and songwriter. Love offerings are accepted. Thank you all for your help with that one. Volunteers are needed. People to lead the service when there is a guest speaker. Greeters and kitchen help are needed. Garden angels to weed and to water. Even once a month will be helpful. Reach out to me, Diane, and that would be my email address. Sandy and Rich need rides to service. If you can drive Sandy and Rich to any of these appointments, please call Kevin for contact info. So looks like they're needing rides on 426, 9 to 10, and 11 to 1, 419, 1 to 4, 421, 1 to 4. Even a one-way ride would be appreciated. Friendship and Potluck Sunday is back now, so we'll be having potluck next Sunday, April 24th. Come, eat, relax, and enjoy fellowship with your spiritual community. Everyone is welcome. Our annual membership meeting will be held Sunday next week. In preparation for this meeting, we will need to have everyone renew their membership. If you have any questions, seek out a board member for answers. And now we can all hold hands and form a circle and sing our song.